Bitcoin's white paper is not a Bible. Next on your 4-Minute Crypto Daily News. Hello and welcome to 4-Minute Crypto. Now today's show is from a post by Samson Mao at Coindesk.com and is brought to you by the Crypto Cousins podcast. Listen or subscribe to this podcast on iTunes by going to CryptoCousins.com/iTunes. And before I start, I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, and please share. Now, it's been 10 years since Bitcoin's white paper was released, and the world has had 10 years to understand the impact of Bitcoin and to improve its usability and scaling. Yet, despite all this time to evolve our understanding, we somehow have had the emergence of zealots that attempt to interpret the Bitcoin white paper as if it was scripture. Now, Bitcoin's white paper was released in October of 2008, just a few months before the source code for version 0.1 was publicly available. But the software itself had already been in development for a year and a half and contained features and important consensus rules that were not mentioned at all in the white paper. In November of 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto said the functional details are not covered in the paper, but the source code is coming soon. The white paper was intended as an introductory text for the cyberpunk community. Now, in an email to Hal Finney shortly after the white paper's release, Satoshi went as far as to say that he was better with code than he was with words. Now, this will prove obvious to those who know the code, as there are quite a few things not mentioned in the white paper. Although the predetermined 21 million coin cap is referred to, Satoshi only provided the schedule and cap when he announced the release of the code. Now, the chain representing the majority accepted transaction history is frequently referred to as the longest chain, when today we know that is not the case. The change from height to chain work was authorized by Satoshi in July of 2010. The white paper itself was not updated. CPU mining is mentioned throughout the paper, and Satoshi later stated that computer clusters will eventually hog all the generated coins and that he didn't want to hasten that day. Looking back, it's inevitable that a successful Bitcoin would result in CPU mining becoming irrelevant. As outlined in the white paper, the difficulty algorithm would have used a moving average and not the set 2016 block periods implemented in the code, seriously altering the incentives to resist change. Satoshi would later suggest that Bitcoin scripts could be used for escrow transactions, bonded contract, third-party arbitration, multi-party signatures, but script capability was not mentioned at all in the white paper. Now, if the white paper quickly fell out of date, Satoshi didn't seem to notice. He didn't even bother to correct the white paper to make it more accurately reflect the code that he released. This is important to note, as despite changes that alter the design of the live network substantially, the white paper has become a religious text for some who seem to view the open source evolution of the code close to sacrilege. The white paper was an attempt at a high-level introduction by someone who had already put far more time and far more care into writing the code itself. It omitted many details that had been key to Bitcoin's success so far, and yet some people have tried elevating it to the position of holy scripture in misguided attempts to force minority-designed decisions. Now, when Satoshi published Bitcoin's source code, he probably knew that he was handing over a creation of great social value to the public. There's no question that Satoshi did everyone a great service when he released the Bitcoin source code. Perhaps, though, an equal stroke of genius was his decision to leave the project. By removing himself as a single point of failure and definitively handing over control of the protocol to someone else, he let the world have a say in the evolution through the majority consensus mechanism his code incentivized. Now, let me know your thoughts on Twitter, where I am at Gary Leland. And don't forget to join me every weekday for a new episode of 4-Minute Crypto. This is a CryptoCousins.com production.